So welcome back guys to another kind of vlog video with my testings during very early into the set 4 metagame. So first I'll go through my Bastion deck profile, but I'll also like to give you a quick update on Hexaorb actually, and even Phantom Buster Dragon to some degree if I have time for that. Probably mostly Bastion Hexaorb for this vlog, and I'll let you update you guys on my testing throughout. So with this build so far, I'm be testing this build, which is just Lagriel, Elden, and Sporadi. So these are the three main cards I choose to play in this version of Bastion. And of course, the order card, Pride to Protect, which is the one with set order, which also give all our units boost. So this decklist has been performing rather okay, but it has a weakness against Field Retire, which I certainly have figured out is going to be a big problem in this upcoming metagame for Bastion. So while it is good as what it's doing, I think we definitely have to modify it from here. But first, let's go through what I've been playing for these first few days of the game. So yeah, first of all, we updated 4 Lagriel to push games with the Bastion turns, and even if your field is retired, you can still make a comeback with Lagriel because of his rush ability, which I still value, and I'll probably still carry on to the final deck unless I really find a different approach to it. Then of course, the 4 Eldens, pretty standard. I think this is no doubt still the best card in our deck. Then we played the 4 Sporadi. So Sporadi, yeah, the effect as we went through this before, it's been performing very well as it's a very strong return target on turn 3, and it's very useful in the back row. So some things I figured out is that the 5k boost, even when it's unable to boost from a skill like this, is still really strong as it makes our column hit for a really good number. So let's say we put it behind a Lagriel using a skill, and even if it's rested by the regular skill, it will still get a 5k. So this Lagriel using skill on a base turn, it'll be 25k. So that's pretty good, honestly. Same thing with Elden. And even more when you're boosting, because the 5k is the both turns. So just to go through some numbers on the Bastion Prime turn. So yeah, let's go through it briefly. So let's say for Elden, so we get 2k to the front row because of Bastion Prime. Then we get 5k from Sporadi. Note that Bastion Prime only gives power to the front row, so this Grade 3 is actually not being a 15k booster, unlike Apex Roller Bastion columns, which would be a flat 30k at the base. So with this in mind, if a Bastion Prime turn, this is actually hitting for 13 plus 15, 28, 28 plus 5, 33, then from the other skill, Elder's own skill, if I for another Grade 3, is plus 10k, so this is for 38k column. So this is actually very strong play with Bastion Prime. 38k is already demanding 30k shields, which is really big, as even if our 20k fronts in the format and the new 10k draws, which actually hurt Bastion Prime kind of hard, will demand a lot of shield. So this is 38, so when you restand this column with Bastion Prime, is to actually get 20k power more. And of course, Elden will activate a skill again to give it itself 5k again. So the next attack will be 38 plus 15, so that will be 53k. 63k, sorry, because 6 is 20, yeah. So that's really good. One of the pluses of playing Sporadic Elden. I'm probably going to keep this into the final version of the deck, and as per usual, even if we use it early game, the Elden into Sporadic to get the one draw from the Sporadic back is actually pretty useful when it comes to it. But I might reuse this to make space for other stuff in the future. Lagriel also benefits from this, as yeah, it's basically the same as Elden, and only gets power during the battle only. Then for the other cards I played in this version of Bastion was the 4 Pride to Protect. Well, while I did believe a lot in this card, I definitely think 4 is way too many, as while I do want to see it in the opening hand and all this, there's been a lot of games against decks which can retire my board, where I've ended up having too many cards of this in hand. And because we are on Bastion Prime, unlike regular Bastion, is unable to discard these cards for any cost, so they'll just be in your hand. You can't call them to attack, you can't even do anything with them. So I think 4 is too many. I might reuse it 3 in the final version of the deck, but I played 4 for consistency. Generally, since a lot of retire is in the meta game, you usually do not need to go so hard on your turn 3, so playing on turn 3 is actually kind of a hard thing to do. So it might be strictly for turn 4 from now on. I'll see what I can come with. Then of course the highlight of the deck the 4 Bastion Prime. I think this card's still really good. Bastion Prime is one of the best grade 4s like I said before. But of course, what its main problem in this format is that it relies on a full field to function properly. So this is a problem, like because of all the retired in the format, Meteor, Bafsaraga, Derek from In Bruce. I think I mentioned it too many times at this point, but it definitely hits harder after I tested it. I initially thought we could just like kill them before it matters, but I think it's too optimistic to think that way. So we either have to speed up our deck on turn 3 to push harder, so we might need to play some of all the set 3 stuff, or we might want to play like a set 4 or more Bastion Prime focus, at least with a bit more control elements, which might work, but I think it's a bit too optimistic too. So I played 2 of this regular Bastion. So this thing actually does come up quite often, because when I'm on Prime, sometimes I just really need to drive straight into Bastion, because there are games where I run out with 0 cards in hand and all this. So I think playing 2 of this Imperial Bastion for Bastion Prime deck is actually pretty okay. So this is something I'll definitely keep in mind this way. Maybe I'll play 1, but I like it too, because even if I don't see Prime, I can still go into regular Bastion. Then for trigger lineups, okay, the last grade 3 I mean. So the last grade 3 I played was Embrace Dragon. So this is the shield value. So this card is really good. I have no much complaints about it, except for the fact that it's a 12k. So on the board it doesn't perform as well as another unit, but it's still worth playing even if a 12k body. This only matters like when you have 2 of these in one column, so try not to form this column as the Bastion Prime. This only hits for 14 plus 12, 26k, so this is really lacking against of course you can hit like easily 28ks, 30ks, 29ks. Well, 26 is a 15k guard, so it's a big difference compared to a 20k guard. So yeah, maybe 4 of this was too much. Maybe if we play some other cards, try to win earlier, but still it helped me survive some games for sure. Then for the rest of the deck, well, it's pretty staple. I played this 4 crits, didn't come up yet, but I'm sure against Prison it will be a point of contention, I guess. Then for this list I played the 3 fronts, 4 heals, 4 more crits, Overtrigger, Amatinoa, and of course AG's Medra. So one thing to note is that they actually came up when I was losing, was like Amatinoa actually gives Rayguard Bastion Prime's triple drive, so do note about that. So if it does come up, yeah, you have still have like last minute triple drive from the Rayguard maybe, right? So this is effectively what I was playing in early set 4 meta or something. So yeah, do let me know what you would change from the deck list. So I'll tell you right now, this deck's good, but it needs to be refined. So to go through a deck which I've kind of briefly tested was Hexaorb. So this Hexaorb list is still very experimental. So the only new cards we use is the new Power for Combat Soul Blast 1. You can retire itself when your Vanguard checks the trigger. Hexaorb, I think it must be Hexaorb. Yeah, it must be Hexaorb. To then withstand a Rayguard. So this gives us Hexaorb a 4th attack, much like how we used Lepisto before this, but now it's only Combat 1 and Soul Blast 1. So while I do like it, it is a very heavy cost, Counter Blast, Soul Blast 1 and retire itself. And if anybody who plays Hexaorb right now, they probably can vouch that this deck lacks card advantage. It really lacks card advantage, it lacks draw power. So that's why if you don't see me covering Hexaorb in set 3, you will understand why. As in set 3, we don't really have a proper card, and the triple wasn't very good. So my idea going into this deck profile was, this deck list was to then lean into the Fosados to get our resources back. 3 or the Person Right Searcher, which is probably the best card from set 3. I think 3 is a good number, 4 felt too clunky for this Resending card. 3 of this new common, which is really good. What it does is when it attacks, discard a card from your hand, then your Vanguard is Pentagleam or Hexaorb. So basically, to get 2 or grade 3, you can look the top 2 cards of your deck, put up to 2 to the top, put the rest at the bottom. So it's basically the same skill of Owain, which is our arguably best card in Hexaorb besides the Hexaorb itself. So this is like extra additional copy. It is a discard 1, but as it does not counter blast 1 or soul blast 1. I'll say it's pretty nice to have it 2 copies. Also, it's a good resend target for this card over here. Imagine a person right turn, the first attack, it is already for 30, and as the power you gain is until the end of the turn, it's actually able to resend at a base of 30k, even without like putting trigger effects on it, which is another 20k card. As for other cards I play was Painkiller Angel. I know some people might not agree with me, but sometimes the scry into the Painkiller to draw a card is still very useful to survive, especially to get perfect cards in our hands, and just accelerate our deck to get into our pieces more smoothly. Then I do play still the 2 Dieglass. Dieglass is still a very good card. What I might do is probably cut Painkillers to play more Dieglass, and maybe even cut one of this, as this card's really heavy cost, so I'm sure there is a new approach we have to go with this deck, as we can't be going for more combo multiple resend, so we might actually have to go for full on aggro deck, which is going to be interesting, as I never really played like Oracle back in the day either, so playing like Rush Magus with resending regards is going to be really interesting. So yeah, I'll just touch on this briefly, but if you are interested in seeing like a set 3 Hexaorb deck profile, all with like the tournament preparation and all that, I'll definitely be willing to give my view on it. So yeah, I'll just end this section here. So again, as of week 1, where do I think Key to Sanctuary stands right now? I think the best build among the cards, okay, I have went through Phantom Buster Dragon, of course, but if you're interested in seeing more in depth, you can visit my friend Amis004. I'll be linking to his profile in my description below, or his profile soon. But yeah, I will post my version once I get more refined, but it's still generally like just a troll rush deck, so nothing much to discuss. I'll upload a version of this eventually, yeah. But do note, it's still not very good. Then okay, now for between like Hexaorb and Bastion Prime. The Bastion Prime is probably still the way to go. I'm not sure I will play it as a main finisher right now, because as I said, there's so much field retire. So when think about field retire is, yes, Bastion Prime can end the game faster, but you could just play Persona right and give front row power without committing too much of a board. So they may actually be better than using Prime immediately. Instead, we use Prime strictly as a finisher, so we don't hard minus every time they retire our field. Of course, this is kind of subjective, depending on the matchup especially. As even like against decks like Arrival Boost, maybe you just want to rush it immediately. So I definitely have to test which one to do. Hexaorb is still really tricky to balance, so I'm thinking like say for go full aggro with it, which I will be testing really soon. For Bastion, definitely a card I want to visit is Forsado, which is basically it's our resist boy. Yeah, the resist boy here. I definitely want to visit this card in Bastion Prime, just as a way to get back resources and maybe not over rely on Right to Protect, and if you even visit Dark Strain, Rough Look, our good old package. Okay. The other approach I can think of for Key to Sanctuary right now for Bastion Prime is just have more ways to refill the board. So this will come in the form of like East Rod, Vanguard, which is let me see if I can find a Vanguard to show you. So Vanguard is the double R from set 3, which was not East Rod. So let me see my binder. So it's Vanguard. Yeah, so this is Vanguard. So this is the Cloud Heavenly thing. So basically what it does is, when you play it, if your hand size is 4 or less, counter +1, look top 3, call a grade 3 amount into Rega Circle, and that's about it. So if you play Pride to Protect or just guarding early, your size can go pretty low. Or maybe if you're just trying to make comeback with a field, this card actually helps form up a full field back. I'm thinking of this over the Triple R, because this thing calls as stand and stand. Well, immediately you can just boost and resend the Bastion Prime without too much thinking, compared to playing the new Triple R, which requires itself to rest itself. So yeah, these are some 2 cards I want to revisit besides the other cards. Forsado is definitely something I want to visit, and maybe even for Chosen Knights if I choose to play Bastion Prime only as a finisher this time. So with that, yeah, that wraps up my first impression of Key to Sanctuary. Hexaorb still needs to be worked. I'll probably go full aggro for it, Phantom Blaster Dragon, you can be full aggro, just wait, I'm fixing it up. But of course, my main focus is still Bastion Prime, as this is probably the way you have to play Kita until set 5 at least. Kita is right now in a really okay spot. It's not as bad as like most of lyrical besides Laurel Nero, but like we really need to adapt as well. If everyone's going to retire off field, or everyone's going to rush us with multi-attacks, playing an all grid 3 deck is already kind of like a contradiction to like having a good deck in this format. So with that, yeah, I'd like to end it off. I'll keep grinding on this deck, so I'll let you know on future updates to this deck, and probably proper deck profiles which are incoming probably, I don't know, whenever I feel I come up with an actually good list. Okay, so with that, bye guys, and I'll catch you next time, maybe with Orpheus actually, which is another deck I'll be looking into.